Good day, good afternoon, good night. How you doing? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Today we are going to have a serious conversation. Well, maybe not a serious conversation, but there's going to be a serious talk happening here. Now, of course, I'm only doing the talking, but just stay tuned. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right. I got a different episode for you today. And I know that I say that a lot, but it's true. I think I touch on a lot of different topics, and then I think I also talk about the same topics in different ways. Always trying to be honest. This one today, it might be a little bit difficult to be 100% honest, but I'm going to do my best. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Some I have to get a little more introspective than others. And at the same time, when I try to do that, I think the only positive thing about having, your main people gone from the earth, passed away, is that you have less things holding you back from being real, But of course, I have kids, so I guess that's the one thing that would have to hold me back from really going at it, unless I can figure out how to do it. But I think I'd have to be a little bit more intelligent to be able to do that. But I will try. Okay. All right. So let me get to the actual. Now, understand when I make these, remember, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Welcome to my regular listeners, my first time listeners, my sometimes listeners, and also to my last time listeners. Thank you that you're listening today. I appreciate it. Just crank this music up a little bit in my ear. Understand, I write these topics and introductions and descriptions and a lot of this stuff, and the only thing is that some of them are written ahead of time, or they're just kind of blurted out because sometimes I speak them into word or whatever it is like that. So I'm not always that familiar with my writing sometimes, because I just go on and on and on and on, and then I come back to present it to you. So I understand sometimes it's like, is this guy reading his own stuff or not? Yeah, it's my stuff. It's just, it's almost like it's a different person. I'm sure if you listen from episode to episode, you'll have episodes where I sound like this, and then episodes where I'm a lot more higher in the octave, and also come off maybe even happier. Okay. Anyhow, with that being said, and shielding myself a little bit, welcome to episode 177 of You're Probably Right. I am your host, your friend, who's on the other side of those headphones. Today we're diving into a deeply personal topic, I guess, that might resonate with those of you who ever feel like you just don't fit in. What happens when you spend most of your life wearing a mask, biting your tongue, holding back your true self, only to one day realize that you've been so drawn out of your introverted shell by life, work, responsibilities, that people don't even see you as an introvert anymore, and you don't even see yourself as who you say you are. when you turn around and, you present yourself maybe to someone, you realize how far gone. Of course, it's difficult to understand, I suppose, if you're not an introvert, or maybe not. I mean, just being yourself. Maybe you're closed in and you're an extrovert, and you've been closed down for so long that all those traits that you used to have and that came natural to you are almost turned off like a faucet. Maybe you're not. Or maybe the facade just became second nature, and yet every once in a while you're hit with the moment that makes you cringe to your core. Moments where you can't fake it anymore. That's when the trouble starts. Let's break it all down. At least I'm going to try. What it feels like, how to understand it, I guess. Maybe, just maybe, how to help others who feel the same way I do. Or maybe I'll just help myself. Sorry guys, I got Mike and Ike's tonight. And they ain't from the box, they're from Bulk Barn. So I got more than a box's worth. And a lot of water. Okay. We can get right into the questions. What does not fitting in feel like to you? And when do you notice it the most? It's a good question, what it feels like. It feels like, and me, because I watch a lot of movies, or used to watch a lot of movies, more shorter, hour-long content now, other stuff. But I don't know what that means. Not fitting in isn't easy, of course, unless you're one who enjoys not fitting in. But I've been a person who tries to fly under the radar, I suppose, especially when I don't feel like I know a lot about whatever it is that's being discussed. Maybe like a school kid trying not to be called on by the teacher, and the teacher with that superpower seems to know how to pick on that kid that doesn't know. I remember being a kid like that in school where I didn't fit in. And sometimes in classes where teachers knew I didn't know, and they would look at me asking a question, and I'm sure in hindsight it was probably me feeling embarrassed of not knowing, rather than them catching the twinkle in my eye to say, hey, I have no idea what the answer is, call on me. It probably was me. But again, like what I was saying in a different episode, sometimes you get a feeling, and there's that connection, and it's stronger than an answer. So almost, it's so strong that it doesn't matter what the person is saying. It's the feeling that they're giving off when they're saying it. And being a person who didn't fit in as a kid, maybe it wasn't natural for me to feel, kind of like they say, someone who is a sociopath is different from a psychopath, because a sociopath is usually traumatized conditioned into being that way, where they seemingly don't care about anybody else. Because of stuff that they've experienced, felt, just seen over and over and over and over. Well, I was a kid when I was a kid. I was pushed out. I always felt fine. Funny enough, until I was in grade 3, and I had a teacher named Miss Hunt, very pretty lady. And even then I knew she was pretty. And that's grade 3. Most of the kids at school didn't like her. She was very strict. Always seemed angry. Wore a lot of makeup, I believe. Kind of looked like Elaine from Seinfeld. It's kind of funny, but with a weird afro kind of thing, or maybe not. Whatever it is, some 80s stuff going on there. But most of the time, I don't know what happened in that class. I don't know if I was pushed to the side or whatever it was, but honestly, I just had no clue what was going on. And I think that was the year they probably assessed me for learning disability. They told me that I had a weak wrist, so my handwriting was always going to be bad. They asked me a bunch of questions, but I don't know what really became of anything, to tell you the truth. But moving on from there into grade 4, 5, 6, where I had the same teacher who did not like me, and dealing with kids who could just lash out at any moment, at any, just I won't say it, but just a breeze can make them change their mind about a person or a situation or what they were going to do. Little kids who used to steal from Kmart, Parkway Mall in Toronto. Little kids who used to force other kids to pretend that we were WWF wrestlers, and fake pain and all kinds of other nonsense. Subject to the Boston Crab, suplexes, pile drivers, figure 4 leg locks. I didn't get a lot of those, to tell you the truth. And for some reason, they were starting to call me Smiley because I was always smiling when all the nonsense was happening. Never got beat up. You'd figure that's how bullying is supposed to go. You get beat up, but I found that I was always as tough as the toughest kids in the class, but at the same time being a mama's child, mama boy, I guess, baby of the family, wash belly as she used to call me. I never had a need to fight for anything because I was the youngest, I was the baby. I was always going to be looked about. Somebody was going to deal with whatever I needed to deal with for me and help me. And I was also sickly, so I had bad asthma and hot bronchitis one time, and it was really bad. The fact I had to go to the hospital and get needles every Monday because of my allergies. Back then it wasn't really anaphylaxis, or if there was, I don't remember anybody having an actual EpiPen for anything when I was a kid. But I never fit in with those kids, no matter what I did. Even if sometimes I was given a break to be a part of the main crew, I was always really good at sports. Pretty tough kid. Could do all the so-called cool kid things. So then I was always, I guess, on the fringes, and sometimes brought in when somebody went on vacation or something like that. But I guess it's hard to explain what it feels like. I mean, I know when I'm in a situation where maybe the spotlight has been on me and I lose my train of thought, I lose my ability to relax and actually calmly think and articulate what I want to express just by that closed feeling, where I guess the room feels like it's closing in on you as an introvert or as a shy person. And sometimes I think I go in between. And, thinking what other people think. Man, that's probably the worst thing you can do. I mean, you can consider it when you're alone and just in your thoughts. But to try to feel how other people feel, like try to it not like putting yourself in their shoes. It's like you're trying to put yourself in their brain, which is a lot harder. you know 5 toes in a foot, but to put yourself with all the different tendencies that you have and all the different tendencies that the other person has, all the experiences, all the feelings, all the ideas, all the characteristics, and put yourself into that person's brain, it's going to be a lot harder. So basically what ends up happening is you end up numb and stopped in everything, so that even your own functions are not on par with who you are, which turns you into an alien from yourself. At least that's how I feel when I don't fit in. You don't fit in and you don't fit out. I don't know if you catch that. I don't know if you feel that. But when you don't fit in, especially as a person who's closed off to themselves more or less, or shy, you don't fit in to whatever you think is going on from your perception, even though you might, and everybody else might be just looking at you like, man, you're weird. Like, just cool off and just be yourself. But the way you feel inside is that you don't fit in with them. They've all seen it from your standpoint anyway. They can see it, almost like there's a big dot pointed on, or somebody splashed you with a whole can of white paint or something like that. And they can see that you don't fit in. And you feel it. And then because you feel so out of the ordinary and weirded out by this whole situation, you honestly don't even feel like you fit in within yourself. And then you just feel like you're trapped in a body. So as I said, it can get really deep, and not everyone's going to obviously understand this. And hopefully, maybe this is one of those episodes where only a few people get it. But I'm fine with it if it actually helps somebody else to deal with some of the stuff that I've had to deal with. And are there specific situations, people, or places that make you feel this way? Well, I always tell the story, which I find it really funny now, even though I'm the person who was dealing with it. One time I went out to this club. It was a dance club, and I think I had gotten divorced or something, and I just wanted to do something and had nobody to go out with because I had already closed myself off from the world, just being in my relationship. So I said, you know what, but forget it. I'm going out. I'm not just going to be this way. There's still a little fight in me to experience things. So I went out to this club, and lo and behold, it's kind of a cool saying. Level. No, I'm just joking. Lo and behold, the person that was hosting that club that night, that faithful Saturday night at a huge club here in the GTA, was somebody who was radio famous and that I actually happen to know. Needless to say, you see, first you get the lo and behold, now you get the needless to say. This person proceeds to recognize me because it was still early, and of course, I'm not going to get there late. I get there early if I'm by myself, on my dolo, on my lonely. Um, they noticed me, and the person says, "Just stepping in the building." It's big, MCM, let's say. And I was like, what in the world? There wasn't enough people that a lot of people heard it, but there was just enough people for me to feel embarrassed and stick it out like a sore thumb, at least for that 40 seconds. And then I coolly walked through the middle of the floor, dapped them up, said, "What's up?" Off the mic and everything, people looking over like I'm somebody. Meanwhile, I'm just nobody. I just happen to know this person because it's a friend of someone that I was working with. But I guess, we'd interacted and talked, and, we were cool or whatever. But I proceeded to walk from there over to get a drink. And for some reason, I mean, you don't even have to be necessarily drinking, say, alcohol or anything like that. Just that, for some reason, that feel of holding that drink, nursing that drink in your hand, almost like it's a crutch, although it doesn't touch the floor. But it seems to steady a lot of people. So you notice people will hang on to their bottles or whatever it is for a lot longer than they know that they're even not gonna even drink what's inside the bottle. It's just for that comfort, I guess. So definitely in big rooms where I've been made the center of attention. It's like I deflect the looks, and it's like I feel everybody's eyes on me when the room is turned to me. And if it's too many people, or if it consists of people who I'm not that comfortable with, who don't know me very well, then it's like my vocabulary, any gregariousness that I might possess, my articulateness, my lips' ability to articulate, articulations of my mouth and everything just shuts down. It's like all of a sudden I'm a person living with what was it, multiple sclerosis. Somebody told me one time, like when I interviewed him for my school project about multiple sclerosis, I can't even say the word. He said that how he felt every day was like a person who jumped into a swimming pool. I think he said he jumped into a swimming pool. Actually, it's the first time he really recognized it, and he felt like he was in cement trying to swim out of the pool. That's kind of like how I feel when I don't feel right around people, or when I'm drawn out or to speak in front of an audience. And I know that that's I think the biggest fear for people, especially work or anywhere really, is public speaking. But for me, it goes to a whole nother level because it actually my abilities actually shut down a little bit. And then sometimes they don't. Sometimes I'm fine, but I would really have to know a lot about the subject that we're talking about inside and out for me to actually be able to articulate my words in a way that would sound intelligible to more than just a high school kid or even maybe younger, maybe sixth grader, whatever. So yeah, that's what I can say about that. Yeah, just around even small things. Like I thought at one point it was just me speaking in front of a classroom, college or work or whatever it is. But just with 7-12 people who know a lot about some things that I don't know a lot about, I think I get a inferiority complex or imposter syndrome or something, and I just don't feel like I'm supposed to be there. And it's not like I can never speak at anyone's level, but it's just something that happens like inside my head. It's like everything shuts off. It's like your brain is a big a big venue, like a sky dome or something like that, and the lights are your brain activity and ability. And it's like everyone leaves the sky dome, Rogers Center, whatever, and then some dude peeks in and goes, "Oh, you won't be needing these lights anymore." Boom. Then he shuts them off. And that's how my brain feels when I feel like totally out of place. Also, the next question. That was only one question, guys. I'm obviously gonna have to talk a little faster than this. But do you think you've ever fit in, or has the feeling always been elusive? Mm, there's places where I feel like I fit in. Like I used to feel like I fit in um, playing hockey. It was something I did from when I was really young. Um, as a young kid, was buying my own hockey sticks or my own plastic blades to put the end of the wooden hockey sticks, cutting my own wood and fitting it properly, and got a hockey net and I laced it all up and did it right or wrong, and then I did it right. um, and I was good. Wherever I played, I was good anyway. I always felt I could have gone a lot farther in it, but parents didn't really have the money to send me to, um, put me on a team or whatever it is. I think they did that for my big brother. But when I came around, fourth kid, not so much. Didn't have it. But always appreciate my parents' sacrifice, though. You know, my dad came here. He got our driver's license, but he never actually drove in the country at all. I never saw him with a car, drive a car. Even when I got old enough and I put him in the car, he had a license. He was like 68 probably, and I was like, "Dad, take us around the corner." I was like, "All right," and then and then all of a sudden something happened. He switched and then he didn't do it. It was the funniest thing. I was like, I wonder why he didn't. Maybe he's too scared that he couldn't do it. Who knows? Anymore, because he was old by then. I don't know if he was 68, somewhere around there. But I only fit in, I guess, in places that I was really, really, really familiar with the people and the things that I was doing. For me, I always otherwise felt like an oddball, no matter what. I always felt different from my family, different on the basketball court. I wasn't once it became official and we were wearing the school jerseys. I had no idea where I was supposed to be most of the time. And if the tip off ever came to me, I'd always make sure to pass it off to a guy who was laterally alongside me on the side that we were on the court, just so I didn't get a backcourt violation because I was passing it in the wrong direction, or heaven forbid, as they say, take off and try to score at a basket. So I don't think I've ever fit in, really. How much of this tied to being, or is tied to being an introvert, and how much of it is just part of being human? Well, that's what I don't know. You know, with the way I am as an introvert, I like to spend a lot of time watching movies. I used to spend a lot of time listening to music, but just by myself. And again, I don't know if I was conditioned to be that way. And maybe I really, it's not really who I really am. And maybe now that I'm older and life situations and people around me have changed, maybe I'm going back to who I was when I was really small, when I didn't have a care in the world. Because, I do like being around people, but I don't like being around that many people for that long. So maybe I'm in between. I don't think there's people who are, well, there probably are people who are straight introverts, and extroverts or whatever it is. And I think maybe I'm just on the low end. I'm still introvert, but maybe not shut down totally, where I can only be by myself. But I guess that's not really what it means. I gain energy from conversations with one person, sometimes two, but as the people get bigger, louder, and noisier, I can only do it for a little bit of time, and then I have to go off somewhere else. So I guess I am. But I do have different tendencies to be able to talk to. I think I like relationship, and that's probably the thing. It's not really the fact that I like to talk so much. It's just I like to hear people, what they have to say, and sometimes try to suss things out with people about different situations and dilemmas. I can think outside of the box at times if I give myself a chance. So, yeah. But I guess it's a part of being human, right? If you're not comfortable, you're not comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you're going to do uncomfortable things. So that might make you off a little bit, or throw you off a little bit, put you off kilter, or, maybe disallow you from saying things and doing things that you would normally do just because of how you're feeling. So I guess it's part of being human too. What do you think drives the need to put on for people? I think we all strive for we strive to be at peace. So we all know that the easiest way generally to fit in is to put on for people. People like to be entertained, right? Are you not entertained? People like to see stuff, stuff could be good or bad. If you see a car crash happening, or a car crash that just happened, what do everybody do? They stop their car, or they slow down, and they turn and they look. If you see somebody doing something really cool, like singing on a street corner, many times you'd stop and stare. If it was a really good singer. Or people love joy. And if you can make people laugh, and if you can stay in that mode for a while and just have people laughing, there's a desire to put on, even from a young child. We dance in front of our parents and do little quirky stuff that we would never do if we had any more sense, as they say. But maybe the key is not having so much sense, knowledge of good and evil. Maybe just being at peace, being open, being honest is the way to be, without having so many minds on top of you. Because minds blow. I just blew your mind. All right. Is it about acceptance, avoiding conflict? Yeah, for sure. I think, people want to be accepted. Nobody wants to be an outsider. You know what I mean? I guess unless you just do not like people, and then there's something obviously wrong there, because we are social, we are social individuals for the most part. People are. And we don't live alone, and no man is an island. even though they think they are. You affect somebody, and somebody affects you at some level. Of course, avoiding conflict is amazing in most cases, unless you're a brute and you think you can defeat 95% of the population. Just to have that worry that somebody's going to finish you verbally, physically, just not having that as a worry is a plus for anybody, I think. But at the same time, putting on, just getting acceptance, but also just making other people feel good about themselves is a really cool thing too. So I think for me, it would be just having people feel good around me, especially maybe if there's something that I can do to actually change how they're feeling if they're feeling down. That's an amazing reward for me. It's not that they say thank you. It's that I can see that somehow I changed the atmosphere a little bit. Little old me, How often do you find yourself biting your tongue about your true feelings? All the time. Sometimes I feel like that's all I'm doing. I guess it's even probably even more so for me as a Christian. It's like you don't want to be saying, things that would entice the whole spirit of like lasciviousness, or you don't want to entice your inner sinful self to do and say things that you shouldn't do and put you in situations that you don't want to be put in just by saying anything. So yeah, I bite my tongue all the time. And sometimes I think these days it doesn't seem like I bite my tongue. I'm gone back to probably how I was when I was probably about 11, at home anyways. And then before that, anywhere when I was probably, like most kids, 4 or 5. What's the cost of holding back? And is it worth it in the end? Well, if this is the end, then I would look back and say, no, it's not worth it. When you hold back, you're holding back you. You're holding back situations, and I don't know if I believe in the butterfly effect, but maybe at the beginning of a bad relationship, if you said what you really felt, then maybe you would stop all that hurt that you're going to feel in a little while. Maybe if you just say what you really think, then maybe those who you say you care about would catch themselves and not spiral into some sort of an evil, sinister creature. Sometimes people, they come off like the victims, when sometimes those who would be the victims, the person who is disadvantaged, if they would have spoken up a little bit, if they had had the guts to speak up and say what is real, then maybe they could have saved that person a lot of trouble that they're going to get into, and themselves a lot of trouble that they're going to feel, the problems that they're going to have. So that can be a very big cost in a lot of different ways. What's the hardest part about doing something that goes against your character? Just that. I feel like every time you do or say something that goes against your character, it's like I feel like you die a little bit. Who doesn't want to be themselves? And if you have to constantly say things that you don't really feel because you're scared of what's going to be said, or you're going to be scared of the repercussions? Are you going to be scared of reprisals? I know someone loves that word. um, it's just so freeing to be able to just say whatever you want to say. And a lot of the time, that feeling that I talk about is there when you say it, and it totally changes how somebody either looks at a topic, a situation, a thing, or whatever, because you said something that 97% people in the population wouldn't say. And that's because it was really on your heart to say it, not because you were looking to shock people for shock value's sake, but it was that you wanted to be your most authentic self and say what was really sitting on your chest. To be able to do that and say, hey, I want this, I like that, I don't like this, please don't do that ever again, I'm leaving, I'm going, I'm here, I matter. All the things that people generally don't say in situations that burn up lives, burn up hearts, burn up feelings, because people don't say what they really think. Because they're scared of what it's going to do to somebody for 13 seconds, or if it's going to ruin someone's day. People would rather ruin their life for 5 months than ruin somebody's 5 minutes. It's absolutely ridiculous. Do you think people notice when you're not being authentic? Or is it something only you feel? I think for sure people notice at times. Sometimes you're very good at masking it. You know? Sometimes we have ways that we can show people this while we're doing that over there. You know, kind of sleight of hand with our answers, with the way and how we speak. There's lots of ways to camouflage and not get noticed and fly under the radar. Keep your head down. Why do you think people have a hard time understanding when you resist social expectations? And how does this misunderstanding affect your relationships or self-perception? Well, it doesn't mess with my self-perception because I know that I am who I am. I would probably just know within myself that, man, you didn't have the guts to say that or do this. You just let it go. You know, you had that one shot to blow. The opportunity only comes once in a lifetime for certain things. And every once in a while, when you don't answer or say as you think or you want to say or you think you should say, when you don't do that, you know how many things that are probably altered because you couldn't muster up the guts enough to say what needed to be said, to say what's real. But people do resist you. You know, when you say things that are out there, there are people who will challenge you, wondering why you can't just be a get along to go along kind of person like everybody else. And then every once in a while, you're off that and you're back doing what you don't feel you should be doing just because you want to keep your job, just because you don't want to embarrass anybody, just because you don't want to offend anybody, just because you want to be a part of the team, just because you don't want her to leave, just because you don't want him to leave, just because you don't want them to stay. You don't say certain things that need to be said. I mean, there's many ways that people do these relationships, right? Think about it. Do you still see yourself as an introvert, or has life reshaped your identity? Well, yeah, 100%. Life has shaped my identity. You know, I worked at a store selling suits for 8 years. I taught, we call it Sunday school for a little bit, the kids. I knew more than those kids, so I was able to do that. The sales thing now, it probably took me about at least 3 or 4 years, honestly, to get comfortable in pretty much saying anything about anything when it came to fashion, or at least the fashions that we had, just from being there and understanding and knowing the product was very important for me to understand and be able to say and have some say so, or know what I'm talking about, or outfit somebody or a few people really well, to know that I knew my stuff. Gave myself the assurance in that way. And also I had to be comfortable asking customers if they wanted to buy, this or buy that, or would they like to be given a credit card, and tell them what their credit limit is, or rejecting people and saying, sorry, you didn't qualify for a card, but you can call the head office with this number and this paper I would give them, and you could see what's up. Maybe you gave some information wrong, because if you don't give the right address with your social insurance number, whatever it is they ask for, a visa, then it doesn't, you don't get the card. So if you've ever moved or fought or messed up your address, and they've swiped a credit card for you to get more credit or something else, anyhow, everything doesn't sync up. Obviously, you don't get what you're looking for. So hey, I'm sure y'all know that. I don't even know why I'm even explaining that like I'm talking to kids. Is it possible to lose your introversion, or is it just buried under layers of life's demands? No, I don't think you lose it. I think you just become comfortable. I believe, for me, my introversion is more or less just not being comfortable, and being comfortable doing stuff by myself, where I don't have to worry about me letting down anybody. So therefore, if I'm by myself, there's no one to let down, right? And if I let myself down, I can literally look in the mirror and laugh. Done that before. Where I got hurt, and I'm like, man, nobody's here to see me. Just they're laughing at myself a little bit. Of course, somebody walks in on you like that, you probably be seen as crazy. Anyhow, so yeah, I think I don't know if it's really possible to lose your introversion. I think you just become more comfortable around other people. So I guess you're not really losing it. You're just learning not to be that way, because I don't think it's a way that anybody should actually be. Although it feels good, I think there should be a way, because we are social creatures, to socialize with other people in many different situations. How do you navigate the moment when the facade drops and your real self comes through? I don't know. Sometimes you get upset. Sometimes there's some side of, something that would totally, just, I don't know, incite the very essence of your heart's fervor. And you just got to get something off your chest. And in those situations, I probably become a better public speaker, a better leader of many who even possibly might know more than me. And, it is kind of chilling and relaxing. Chilling. I'm saying chilling, not chilling. Relaxing. Just knowing that I can just say whatever and say and know that my brain is fully functioning, so that I can say exactly, precisely what I wanted to say, and not some amalgam of nonsense that skates around what I'm really trying to say. I want to be able to say everything that I want to say, not because anybody else wants me to say it, not because anybody thinks I shouldn't say it, but I just want to be able to say what needs to be said. Are these moments freeing, embracing, or, Embarrassing, sorry. Embracing. Are these moments freeing or embarrassing or something else? Freeing for sure. I don't think I need to explain that. What do you think would happen if you stopped pretending altogether? A lot more people would get embarrassed. And I probably wouldn't get invited anywhere to meetings at work or anywhere else for that matter. You can't always obviously say exactly what you think. I mean, who says you really should though, right? I mean, you could know a lot of stuff, but it doesn't mean you should say a lot of stuff. I mean, you really need to only give what is due to those it is due. You don't need to tell everything that's in your recesses of your mind. But at the same time, you want to be able to be honest. Would people be shocked, or do you think they'd accept the real you? Well, I am the real me. It's just certain situations I believe that I really want to tell somebody what's real. And I'm not saying I want to sit there and say, hey, man, you know what? You're a real idiot. Why are you with that person? You know, they treat you like garbage. They don't value you. They rough you up. They think you're an idiot. They want to tell you what to do. And you're going to stay with them? Well, you're a dummy if you do that. And why are you a dummy? You'll ask, well, listen. You have explained how you feel about the situation. I've given you my 2 cents. I've even told you stuff that you didn't even know I knew, and there was no way of me even knowing what you were up to. And you're getting to see what you're doing from another person's perspective, looking through a different lens or a mirror, and you're still willing to ride it out for absolutely no reason other than the fact that you don't value yourself. If you say something like that to someone, they won't understand. There's no way. You can't say everything. You can put on kids' gloves for people. And at the same time, you feel sad for people. You look at someone who is being treated like garbage. Sometimes that person's you. And you look in the mirror and you say, you don't see what's in the mirror, do you? You don't see your beautiful smile. You don't see your beautiful eyes. You don't see, and how could you, your beautiful character? Your nice ways about you, you don't see them. And you probably don't feel them either because you're too busy trying to put on a facade or trying to be comfortable in a situation that you're not comfortable in. How can you explain the experience of being an introvert in an extroverted world? Well, hopefully I've done that. But there's different levels. First of all, I know and I see people every day who don't talk that much to anybody. I mean, they might discuss the importance of keeping your dryer, your washer door closed so that the the ring, what do you call it, the gasket or whatever it is, doesn't get hard. The rubbery stuff that holds the water in and you know, not out on the floor, doesn't dry out and crack. And they might be able to have a conversation about that and their whole perception of why it is the way it is. And who could have possibly built this thing? What kind of technical skill? design expertise that they have. But then it's to talk about something with them that actually has nothing to do with anything they could technically or have read in a book, and just to give up themselves to a normal, regular topic, you'd be hard pressed to do it. But being an introvert, it's like you can't take too much at once in many cases. In my case, I'll just talk from my perspective. As I said, being around a bunch of people and trying to communicate, and skating on the edge of trying to entertain and at the same time just saying what it is that you have to say in any situation is sometimes difficult. You find yourself, because you're uncomfortable, pandering to those onlookers who may not know you very well. So they probably don't really get the 100% authentic you. They probably get the made up you at some level. And I'm just saying, if you can fight daily, often, and say what you want to say rather than what you think people want you to say, then you can hold on to a little bit of yourself in every situation. But once you find yourself lying all the time and just saying stuff for saying stuff's sake, it's not a good thing. What do you wish people knew about the internal struggles of someone who doesn't always show their true self? I say just to understand that there's a war going on. Just with speaking alone. What can I say? What can't I say? How long should I keep going back to the same thing because this person doesn't seem to understand? Do we really want them to understand? Like, these things go on in your mind. What advice would you give someone who feels like they're constantly wearing a mask? Well, I try not to give too much advice really at all. But I would say this. Not trying to, offend anyone, put anybody down, but speak your mind and tell people what you really think so that they can get to really know you, in turn making you more comfortable with those or that person, allowing you not to be an introvert and leaving no necessity for you to act out the life of a person who is an introvert. What's the biggest lesson you've learned about balancing who you are with who the world expects you to be? I think the biggest lesson is people actually like me for me. And there's a lot more people who actually agree than disagree with a lot of the thoughts that I actually speak on. Yeah, it gets uncomfortable sometimes. Sometimes people look at me like, I only just met you and you're talking to me like you've known me for 15 years. At the same time, I like that. As long as they receive it that way as well. Otherwise, it can be totally received in a total uncomfortable way and then, loses its shine for sure. Anyhow, being an introvert in a world that often demands extroversion isn't easy. Sometimes it feels like you're being pulled in 100 different pieces in 100 different ways and directions, or you're being bombarded with 2,000 arrows, then they all sting, forced to put on a mask that doesn't even fit. But every now and then when the mask slips, people get a glimpse of who you really are. Maybe that's the moment when you realize that being authentic, flaws, quirks, and all, it's not about fitting in. It's not about meeting expectations. It's about finding peace within yourself, no matter what anybody else thinks, no matter where you are, no matter who's looking or watching, or who's writing your behavior or actions down. If you've ever struggled with these feelings, remember, you're probably right to feel that way. It's your journey, and it's your own. Despite whatever anybody else thinks or says. Be yourself. Anyhow, this is MCM, and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Hey, invite someone to listen with you one day. Or go back and listen to some of my other shows. As they always say on FS1. There's lots of different episodes, y'all. Check something else out. Subscribe on Apple if you can. I know that I'm Spotify for creators now, is it? Not Spotify for podcasters, and not Anchor, but Spotify for creators. But I would really appreciate it if you would rate me on Apple. Just type in You're Probably Right in Apple and you will find me. And you can rate me. You know, it'd be really, really cool. I really, really appreciate it. Anyhow, signing off. This is MCM. Peace out. Talk again, okay? Peace. Oh yeah, before I go, remember, if you have any questions you want to ask, or maybe you have a topic that you want me to talk about, you can email me at yprpodcast@gmail.com. Take care. Hey, come check out You're Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 ducks. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.